I talked with Lindsay Hilsum a short time after she filed that report. Lindsay Hilsum, welcome once again. Tell us more about the takeover at the compound. It sounds as though there was resistance in some parts of it, but not in others?
I think that that's right. There was certainly fighting around there pretty much all day. Huge explosions, heavy weapons being used, and smoke rising from the compound all through the morning and the first part of the afternoon. One rebel fighter I spoke to who had been in the compound said to me, though, that not all of that was in fact fighting. He said some of that was just the rebels firing. His unit had not met with any resistance, but he said, we're a bit chaotic. He said, we don't really coordinate. So rebels were just firing around as they went in, partly in excitement, partly in case there was resistance. So some of that noise may just have been the rebels. But as I speak now, it appears that Colonel Gaddafi's loyalists who were in that compound have fled. We think that they have fled south, and the compound is in the hands of some very, very happy rebels.
And Gaddafi and his family, of course, were not found there. What are the possibilities or conjecture now as to their whereabouts?
We really don't know. It was a tremendous shock to many people when Saif al-Gaddafi, who had been reported to be arrested yesterday, suddenly appeared in the Rixos Hotel and then went down to that Bab al-Azizia compound in the middle of the night. So had he been arrested? Or did he escape? Was there some kind of trickery involved? We have no idea. And where he is now, we don't know. That compound has bunkers and tunnels. Have the family escaped through that tunnel? Or maybe they're heading for Sirte. Sirte is on the coast east of Tripoli. It's Colonel Gaddafi's hometown. And that one place is still very much firmly in his hands. It's possible that that could be the place for their last stand rather than the compound in Tripoli. But I have to say, I am like pretty much all Libyans. I don't know where Colonel Gaddafi is. I don't know where his family is. And until people do know where he is, they won't feel that this is 100% over.
Well, in fact, in your piece, you talk about the shifting atmosphere yesterday and today in the streets between celebration and tension. Give us a sense of how it feels being there.
Well, it goes one way or another, and that you go out on the streets as we did today and yesterday, and you're never quite sure what you're going to find. But there are always local men there. These are the people who rose up on Saturday night with their weapons, attacked Gaddafi's police and the remainder of his soldiers and so on, drove them out of their neighborhoods. So this is a city now which is under the control of different informal militia. People who know each other, they know their neighborhood, they've put up checkpoints and barricades. Anybody who's coming in gets searched, gets questioned, and if they look a bit suspicious or they don't come from that area, people are not sure who they are, then they may get detained. We came across quite a few prisoners today. They didn't seem to be badly treated, but they were people who they said, these men have a question mark over them, we don't know who they are. So I think what we're seeing now is Tripoli divided into these different neighborhoods. And then there are still some snipers. These are people loyal to Colonel Gaddafi, maybe the mercenaries from other countries who he was paying to fight for him. They are in some buildings, and every now and then they shoot down in the streets. So there is a lot of tension. People aren't safe. It will probably take quite a while, days, to mop up all those different places. But on the streets, the people say this is going fast in the direction that they want. They say his rule is over. What we don't know, of course, is what kind of rule will come next, because there is a power vacuum. The neighborhood men control the streets, but nobody is in political power in Tripoli tonight.
And finally, Lindsay, coming back to the news of the day, the takeover of the compound, what of the symbolic value and importance of that?
Oh, it was an extraordinary symbol of his power. This was the huge compound, which was partly residential and partly military, which nobody could go in unless invited by the Gaddafis and people in his inner circle. Now, that was where he would entertain world leaders. I think he entertained the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair there once. And in the centre of it, there was this statue which he put up after US jets bombed the compound in 1986. It showed a golden fist, his fist, round an American jet. And what that said was, I am more powerful than the Americans. I am the most powerful man. I will stay here forever. Now that kind of symbol, seeing the rebel flag flying on it, seeing the rebels climbing all over it, seeing them trashing the golden bust of Colonel Gaddafi's head, those are the pictures which show Libyans that the era of Colonel Gaddafi is over. The symbols of his power are gone.
All right, Lindsay Hilsum in Tripoli. Thanks so much.
Goodbye.
And now to the other side of Libya, the eastern city of Benghazi, which has been home to the rebel National Council since the uprising began this spring. John Jensen of the international website Global Post is there. I talked with him a short time ago. John Jensen, thanks for joining us. So what is the feeling there in Benghazi? Do they think this is over or just about almost over?
Well, the mood in Benghazi tonight is one of extreme jubilation. Residents here, as well as members of the National Transitional Council, all believe that this 6-month civil war is finally coming to a close after their rebel fighters stormed into Gaddafi's Tripoli headquarters tonight.
Now, there have been some reports of a possible move of that council to Tripoli within a couple of days. What do you know?
That's right. I'm hearing the same reports. The NTC does want to eventually move to Tripoli. In a press conference earlier tonight, the head of the council, Mahmoud Jibril, stated that in some ways the move had already started. However, spokesmen, off camera will have said to me that the official line is the NTC will move to Tripoli when the conditions are right for it to move to Tripoli. There are meetings tomorrow in Doha in Qatar. And after that, they'll come back to Benghazi and they'll decide where to go from there.
The whereabouts of Gaddafi and his family, of course, remain unknown. What are the leaders that you're talking to there saying about what will happen if and when he is caught? Is there any sense of revenge, or what are they planning?
The NTC has told me, spokesmen for the rebel authority have told me that, there will be a sense of revenge among some of the rebel fighters on the front lines. They will want to do certain things to members of the tribe and Gaddafi himself if and when he's caught. But right now they're saying that the official line is that they want to bring justice to Muammar Gaddafi after 42 years of injustice that he brought on the residents of Libya. So they're looking to find him and try him here in Libya.
There was, of course, last night a lot of confusion when his son Saif al-Islam showed up in Tripoli and was rallying supporters. That was after the council, the leadership, had said he was under arrest. Have you been able to talk to them about what happened last night?
Rebel leaders here at the NTC have told me, frankly, it was a mistake. They received information from commanders in the field, and they passed it off without even checking the accuracy of these reports. Rebel leaders at the NTC actually tried to spin their mistake today in a press conference earlier tonight, saying that the announcement that Saif had been caught actually won them the defection of around 30 officers. So they are trying to spin this mistake to their advantage.
Is that celebration in the background?
Absolutely. There's tracer fire being shot into the sky. They're actually lighting off TNT. So it sounded at first earlier this evening like they were letting off mortars in the city. It's sort of a weird thing. Tripoli is where the fighting has been. We're 1,000 kilometers away from that, but it sounds like there's a war going on here. Pure celebration.
All right, John Jensen of Global Post in Benghazi. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.